Hello. Today we'll be going over the basics of unit creation. A unit is a vehicle, machine, person, animal, or other moving or stationary object which is monitored by satellite monitoring. In the Wayland system, the unit is characterized by the type of equipment, GPS or GLONASS device, and the unique identification code of the unit in the system. With units, you can work both in CMS Manager and the main Wayland interface. In this case, we'll be in the CMS Manager. Today's whole video will be a personal touch project. We'll be creating a basic unit. Some parts of unit creation are extensive enough to need their own tutorials. So in this video, we may ask that you refer to other tutorials for those specific parts. To work with units in CMS Manager, open the Units tab in the navigation panel. Next, we'll select the Create Unit button. Starting off in the General tab, let's go ahead and name the unit. I'll name mine Basic Device. For my device type, I'll select the GV500. Device type is important because this is how I know my server reads the messages coming from the device. Now, let's discuss our counter options. The first one is the mileage counter. This can pull mileage in one of four ways. By GPS is the default. This simply adds the distance between coordinates to ultimately come up with a total mileage value. Mileage sensor is second on the list. This will use the mileage sensor created in the Sensors tab, but in this case, the device must report the mileage value on its own. Relative odometer is next, and it's also a sensor like the last one. The most commonly used mileage counter on the list is last and is called GPS plus ignition sensor. This one is usually the most accurate to the odometer, with only having a 3-wire setup. It's because it measures the distance between coordinates only when the ignition sensor is on. For the engine hours counter, we have three options. Engine ignition sensor. This is the easiest. It counts the amount of time that the ignition sensor is on. Absolute engine hour sensor. This sensor registers the total amount of engine hours. And relative engine hours sensor. This sensor registers the number of engine hours with regards to the intensity of work. Lastly, I want to make sure all of my sensors are set to auto. This will ensure that they start counting from the time they're plugged in. For the Access Rights tab, I'll recommend you watch the Access Rights video tutorial. This is somewhat a category in itself because it applies to all items in our platform. In the Next tab, you have the option of selecting your icon for this template. In my case, I'll select this purple box truck. Advanced will be the next tab. We'll go more over this in its own tutorial, but we're going to go ahead and look at one thing here. Let's go down to speeding and hit the drop box for speed detection. If you want to run a speeding report like most people do, you'll need to select the speed detection method. Here we have listed two options. The used fixed limit, or any speed over X amount here for the X amount of seconds, or the more commonly preferred, which is used limits from roads. This detection setting allows a tolerance on both speed and time. Sensors is also a tab worthy of its own video, in both ways that can be applied. The first way is manually. If you've never made sensors before, check out our unit sensors tutorial. The second way would be to import-export, which is used to copy pre-existing items for new locations in the software, or in this case, copy specific properties of items to other properties of an item. In this example, I've copied import-exported the properties, i.e. sensors, to my new unit sensor properties. You can see how in our import-export tutorial. On the Custom Fields tab of the Unit Properties dialog, you can create fields that display additional information about the unit. For example, fuel type, year of manufacture, load capacity, etc. Moreover, you can indicate any external links. Some of these fields can be marked as administrative, the checkbox before the field, and they are visible only to users with the appropriate rights. Enter a field name and its value and click the Add button. To delete an incorrect field, click Remove. The next time you open the Unit Properties dialog, the entered fields will be automatically arranged in alphabetical order. And as for the application and visualization of this unit custom field data, you can see it in the Unit Tooltip in the Extended Unit Information, if enabled in the user setting, in the Custom Fields table that can be generated both for a unit and for a unit group in reports, in the Monitoring panel to search for units by some property, or we can also see this in the text of notifications. On the Unit Groups tab in the Unit Properties dialog, you can view whether the unit is included in some groups or not. To the left is a list of existing groups. To the right, only those groups that include this unit. Use the Add/Delete buttons to include the unit in a particular group or exclude it from the group. This is a useful tool for putting a unit in multiple groups at once. Commands is a very useful and commonly used feature across units of all types. You can use commands in quite large multitude of use cases, although we'll cover command creation in a separate tutorial. I will show you where commands appear and how they work in the interface. Similar to sensors, I've imported commands from the same device type. After the commands are created, you can see the available commands here by clicking on this button. After you select the command you would like to send, click OK and that command will be sent. Eco-driving is an advanced tool that creates a scoring system and helps recognize driver risk and bad behaviors. There are some templates available by selecting the preset dropdown and then selecting the match to the vehicle that is connected to. We do recommend customizing these settings a bit more after getting some data. If you want to learn how to fully customize eco-driving, we recommend checking out our video tutorials on eco-driving. Unlike many of the tabs we've discussed this far, Profile is relatively simple. It's just to record the technical information regarding the vehicle itself, such as model, brand, color, plate number, engine specifics, and cargo parameters. The first entry is the VIN number entry. Here you can enter the VIN of the vehicle and our software will check for any public records for the rest of the information below. Once a vehicle detail entry has been made, either by pulling the VIN or manually placed in one of the descriptive text boxes, it will be placed in the reference book for ease of access. Under the Trip Detection tab, the settings of this tab will allow you to define the data related to the real movement of the device and be presented as trips. Thanks to these settings, we're actually able to filter the data more thoroughly. If there is a problem with your trips, we highly recommend contacting support to help you with this tab. Fuel consumption is a very in-depth topic that we will go over in a separate tutorial. This tab is highly useful in customization of fuel data for the information that is coming in. Service intervals will also be in a separate topic, but this function allows you to keep track of vehicle maintenance. This is also a lesser detailed version of our maintenance tracking application. Congratulations and thank you for completing our tutorial on creating a unit. I hope by now you feel a little more at ease when operating through our platform. To further extend your knowledge of our platform, check out our other video tutorials for more specific trainings. I'll see you next time.